going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're just doing some camping this weekend. We haven't made a video on the diesel heater, so I figured maybe since we're out here and we're using the heater, it's the time of year to do it. So maybe I'll show you guys how I installed mine. And it's a Chinese diesel heater. I got it from Amazon. It was kind of a test to see if it's something I wanted to go with. I thought about getting a Webasto, I think, like the better name brand one. It's $1,000 or better, so I figured give it a test run first with a cheap one and see how it all works out, and before spending the big bucks. Anyways, it's worked out really well. Allows us to come camping this time of year, which is fall here in Canada, and it's a bit cool at night. Now it's down to about 5 or 7 at night, so you need some kind of heat, and the propane buddy heater kind of work, but you know, it's a wet, damp kind of heat. Everybody that's got a van or a camper that uses one knows that. So this diesel heater was a game changer, as you'll notice if you put one in your van. It's nice and dry, and it's a consistent heat if you've got it figured out or installed, you know, in the right place, and find the right setting that works for your van or your camper. It's really worth having. So I'll show you guys how I put it in there. And all right, so it was temporary unless it works, and then it's permanent. So that's what's happened here. I made this box so I could use the diesel heater that weekend, and originally this stuff wasn't on there. That came in afterwards, but yeah, so I limited in space because it's a van. So I ended up this was kind of a spot that there was always junk collecting behind my seat. My seat is back to where I use it comfortably, and so this was a perfect spot to put the heater in. I made that box. I'll bring you guys around and show you the inside in a second. I put one duct on it. Again, was temporary. My plan was to run one through the back and to the back side of the van, under the bed even, to, you know, disperse the heat more evenly. I never made it to that point. This actually worked enough to keep the space toasty warm, and so that's the way it stayed. But I ended up putting obviously my charging ports, and that turned into a charging station up there for all my batteries and flashlights and phone charger. This is the switch that turns on my inverter, which is under here. I've showed you guys that before. That's the DC to DC charger. That's the inverter. So when I flip this switch, it turns on the inverter. That way you don't have to root in there, or if I'm in the front driving and I've got something plugged into it and I just want to turn it on, I flip the switch, and whether it being my fan, which is sitting in there, running off of it, or my fridge or whatever, I can turn it off right from there. So that works really well. I'll bring you guys over to the other side and show you what's in the box. Come with me. Lovely wife has helped me clean the van and get the fire going. And she's just sitting there looking pretty. Hi. So this is where I put the diesel tank. I didn't want it in here, but I didn't have a lot of choice. It's kind of a pain in the butt to fill, and it looks like it's ripping off here. I may have to resecure that when I get home. But yeah, I can reach in the door here and fill up the diesel at the gas station. Note to self, don't use a gas can. I did that once, and diesel stinks. So I have a bunch of junk that I keep in the top section here, stuff that I don't use very often, but you know, it's a catch-all. But there's a shelf and the heater's below that, so let me take that out and I'll show you that. All right, so that's the bottom of the box. I put a shelf in there so storage, you know, you don't need to get to the diesel heater very often. Matter of fact, this might be the first time I've gone in there in a long time. So that's the heater there. And there's just that one duct that comes off the front, and the kit comes with a T, so you can put a T in there and then run one of the, you can tee off and run a duct like to the back of the van like I was going to do. So under that diesel heater, I ended up cutting a hole in the floor because the exhaust and the intake comes through the bottom of the van. So I cut a hole. They give you a pattern with the diesel heater to measure the size of the hole you need. I was nervous with a hot exhaust going through there, so I made it a little bigger than what they asked to, to keep my laminate flooring safe from burning. But it worked pretty well. So it's all mounted in there, good and solid with the steel plate, and all the wiring and all you need is right there. I'll show you what's below the van. All right, I don't know how much you can see here, but so that's the hole I cut. One of them is your exhaust pipe, which has a little muffler on it, which I've put a little turn so it's sticking out from under the van. There's some rust there I'm gonna have to fix. And what the other thing you have, probably the biggest downfall to this heater, is the electric fuel pump. And if you go on YouTube, you'll see a million videos, people complaining about the fuel pump. It's really loud, and it's kind of an annoying loud. It's not a hum, it's a tick, 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 tick. Mechanical fuel pump. It's electric, but it's got I guess kind of a mechanical solenoid in there that does the pumping. Anyways, it's annoying. So what I've done here is I've wrapped it up in soundproofing material from Amazon as well. I had used it for another project and it was some leftover. So I wrapped the pump in it. I hung it from a zip tie so it's not bolted to the body of the van, because that'll amplify the sound echoing through the metal body. I've actually zip tied it to the electrical wiring that runs to the back of the van, and wrapped it in this soundproofing material, and it works really well. I barely hear it anymore, and it does the job just right. So when you're installing your exhaust, I went towards the back of the van. Your intake, I've got my intake up here behind this wall. You don't want your intake and your exhaust too close together, because you'll be pulling in, exhausted air, and then you're going to smell that in the van. There's no smell. There's no heater smell. All that's coming through is just warm air. So it works really well. So yeah, so that's the hole through the floor. I was weary about doing it, but you know what? It was totally worth it. I would suggest doing it. Forget the buddy heater. That's not the way to go. So that's what I have sticking out for an exhaust right there, and it works well. It doesn't exhaust under the van, in case there's any holes. We don't want any fumes coming up, so that's the way it worked out. Like I said, really happy about it, and probably the only adjustment I'm gonna make, there's all the junk that I pulled out of that box there to show you guys. Yeah, the only adjustment I'm going to make down the road is putting a Y in there and running a piece of duct around the back to under the bed. And that's only to even up the heat a little bit, but really no big deal. Yeah, so that's about the hardest part of the install. The only other piece left is the controller. And what I did with it, when you're laying here in bed, you want the heater on or off. It's convenient to have it close by. So I put mine right here. It's a digital screen. It's got all the functions. I don't need to show you how that works. There's lots of videos online about that. And it's clipped in here, this little holder, and it's kind of bright at night, so if it gets too annoying, I turn around, put it back in the little clip, and it's perfectly fine. You can set it for temperature and the time, and you can probably do some pretty fancy stuff with it. I haven't done very much other than turn it on and off and set the time on it, but it tells you when your battery's low if there's a problem, whatever. So yeah, so that's it. I can reach it when I'm in bed. It's perfect. Works just right. So totally worth the investment. I think I paid, I think I paid $1.99 for it. I'm not even sure if it was that much prior to the jump in prices. So I don't know what they are now, but I would strongly suggest getting one. It started raining there between the last clip and this clip, so we popped that awning out. But yeah, diesel heater, thumbs up, and definitely a huge part of our adventures. Like everybody on YouTube that has a van or whatever form of camping or living vehicle, the diesel heater is the way to go. And an awning. I was hesitant about putting an awning on there. Bought this cheapy one at Princess Auto, which is like Harbor Freight, but the Canadian version, pretty much. And another game changer. So yeah, I would definitely do it. So there we are. That's the diesel heater. That's my lovely wife stoking the fire and having a nice fall camping trip. Again, on some Crown land, I think. I'm not really sure. It's like Parks Canada kind of sites that we're across the street, but there's the sign there. Anyways, in Griffith, Ontario is where we are this weekend. We're running out of weekends. It's, you know, winter's about to fly here, and the old van gets put away in the winter, and then we do a bunch of projects on it, including some body work this year. I have another rocker panel to change, and one that I'm a little nervous about, only because I've never dug that deep. It's over on this side here. I have this guy here to fix. I think I've pointed that out in the video before. So that's what we're doing this winter, and we got those visors on there, which I'm very happy about. And another thing that's going to get on this fall, there's a little bit of body work left to finish above the windshield. I did that quickly before we got the window installed. There's a little touch up to do there, and then we have a visor to put on the front. There's a video of that when I went to pick it up. It's just got to be painted and installed. So that's in the lineup for the fall, amongst other stuff. You know, there's lots of stuff to do, but that's when I get it done before the snow flies. So anyways, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Quick little update video on some upgrades we've done to the van this summer. And yeah, so have a great weekend. We'll see you on the next video.